The fifth and second paragraphs of the Usagi Buddha, Fruit Sutra class environment product father, thorns the house, Akufeng Mohebani ringstone, and his body sits in the valley and sees nature. For example, there is a mountain, so he breaks the mountain and never sees it again. Nature is still strange. Such a relic mansion pulls out the Buddha Mohebani ringstone from ancient times, and its deep valley does not recover. When it returns to nature, everything is made. 3,000 people all over the world support his body. With 7 throne towers. The 3 great worlds should be solemnly covered with the golden lotus ring of the 7 treasure pagoda at the extreme night. There are such natural jewelry and jade in the Achu Buddha's sand, and there are bodhisattvas and sattvas in front of them. When the Buddha is reborn in Achu, when the Buddha is killed, when the living person sees that the Buddha's will has no chaotic life, all the heavens and people should make offerings to his body. The relic house eats vegetation and trees, lives in the fire and smokes smoke, and its smoke is easy to be empty in the air. When the bodhisattva enters his mother's womb, it is also rehabilitated when the bodhisattva enters his mother's womb and when the mother has evil birth. When the wife doesn't realize the entertainment time of guessing the daughter's incense, when the bodhisattva Moksha became a monk and studied Taoism, the bodhisattva's Buddhist skills descend. When the Buddha's spiritual beast is in the middle of the Buddha's spiritual beast, first, there is a natural auspicious response to the belly, and the Buddha's saying, when Feng Mobani circled the Buddha, and it should be helped. What kind of bondage is used to cast hundreds and thousands of sections? The Buddha told the Buddha to set up 20 sections of the blessing words as the appropriate kalpa. It was for the Buddha to preach that the Lord set up the mansion for hundreds of thousands of kalpas to wash the Dharma and destroy the prohibition. When all 3,000 worlds should be illuminated, and the ground should be a big hole, the strange Dharma is not destroyed by the whip demons and skyscrapers, nor is it destroyed by the heaven and earth in the sky. Living up to grammar, the translation wasn't successful. The master and Dharma exchanged, but left dampness. Hence, Dharma was burnt with little missing. Sages asked the Buddha, the word spread in heaven. What kind of virtues did Bodhisattva Moksha use? So he was born in Achu Buddha. Buddha told him that the establishment of Buddha is Bodhisattva Mohesattva. He should learn from Achu Buddha and hope to seek the way of Bodhisattva and practice the proper Dharma. Therefore, the Buddha's father established the Bodhisattva practice next time, which is not the foundation of infinite accumulation of virtue. May the supreme realization of true morality be compiled by the Buddha. The Bodhisattva practices precepts to save the limits and wishes to be supreme and true. Bodhisattva Moksha uses historical practices so he can be born then the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva Moksha uses this practice so he can be born that Buddha kills the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva Moksha uses this practice so he can be born with one heart. The Bodhisattva practices wisdom patiently, abiding by supreme vows. Beside the Buddha in Achu, he excels in sophistication compared to others.
When Tathagata Fu Achu entered nirvana, his body was broken, and it was still natural. It was as if there was a mountain after someone destroyed the mountain, and the mountain would not be rebuilt, and the sea returned to nature. When Tathagata Fu Achu entered nirvana, his body and country were broken, and it was no longer visible that the sea returned to nature. At this time, all 3,000 people from the world put their strength to build the 7 treasure pagoda and the solemn golden wild lotus flowers to Chiayi to make offerings and set up blessings. All bodhisattvas will pay homage to the Buddha land of Achu Tathagata. Its auspiciousness is so solemn, and all kinds of treasures are naturally born in the Buddha land of Achu Tathagata. If a great bodhisattva is born at the beginning of his birth, there will be no confusion in his heart when he sees the Tathagata. At the end of life, heavens and people will support its body all the time. When all heavens and people make a vow to support the great bodhisattva's birth, the great bodhisattva will walk in the void with his own merits, and then disappear. Establishing blessings is like someone walking rapidly in the smoke with a vegetation and a fire. The smoke also floats in the void, and at the same time disappears in the void without any trace. The same is true for the great bodhisattva Achu Tathagata's body. When the bodhisattva is loyal to his life, he will see bodhisattvas in other worlds sitting under the Bodhi tree. When these bodhisattvas are in the middle of their life, he will see other bodhisattvas entering their mother's womb. You will also see other bodhisattvas born on the ground from the mother's right eye, walking 7 steps, and seeing talented women surrounding them, entertaining and providing offerings to them. You will see other bodhisattvas becoming monks and studying Buddhism, and you will see other bodhisattvas sitting on the Bodhi tree and descending to subdue the heavenly demons to achieve great knowledge. When other Buddhas and teachers speak on Buddhism, the Buddha said that when the Tathagata is dying, there will naturally be corresponding auspicious things. When Tathagata was silent, the Tathagata's Dharma included hundreds of thousands of verses. Sages served and inquired about the world-honored technology. The Dharma of Tathagata extended over countless kalpas, with 20 sections per verse, totaling over 100,000 verses. When the right Sharifu Tathagata is in the secret realm of Buddhism, all 3,000 worlds will enlarge the light and the earth will shake. This Dharma is not destroyed by the demon army and heavenly demons, nor is it destroyed by Buddhist disciples. At this time, all monks like to live happily, and even if they practice with the public, they are unlikely to listen to Buddhism. Because I no longer listen to the Dharma has no effect, and I will not be diligent again. If I know the Dharma and are willing to teach all sentient beings, the teachers of the Dharma will gradually become scarce, because the number of people who preach the Dharma will decrease. The Dharma will gradually disappear and no longer appear. At this time, Shilifu asked the Buddha, what kind of merits do teachers and bodhisattvas need to use to be reborn? Tathagata Buddha Earth Buddha told Shilifu, these bodhisattvas should learn from Tathagata's vow when he first practiced the bodhisattva way. Let me win over the bodhisattva of Tathagata in the future. If I can practice in this way, I will definitely be able to be born in Tathagata. If Bodhisattva right Sharifu gives infinitely to accumulate his own merits and supports the path of Supreme Bodhi, then the demon will naturally be by the side of Tathagata. If the great Bodhisattvas can practice in this way, they will naturally be able to succeed. Tathagata land. If the Bodhisattva practices infinitely, accumulates his own merits and virtues, and knows the way of Supreme Bodhi, the demon will naturally be by the side of Tathagata. If the great Bodhisattvas can practice in this way, they will naturally be born in the land of Tathagata. If the Bodhisattva practices human milk infinitely, accumulates his own merits and virtues, and supports the way of Supreme Bodhi, Nama will naturally be by the side of Tathagata. If the great Bodhisattvas can practice in this way, they will naturally succeed. The Bodhisattva of the Tathagata land practices infinitely, accumulates his own merits and virtues, and knows the way of Supreme Bodhi. Then, the demon will naturally be by the side of the Tathagata. If the great Bodhisattvas can practice in this way, they will naturally succeed. The Bodhisattva of the Tathagata land practices infinitely and accumulates his own merits at the top of Zen. Supreme Bodhi's path allows Nama to be near Tathagata. If the great Bodhisattvas can practice in this way, they will naturally be able to be born in the land of Tathagata. Bodhisattvas can practice supreme wisdom, accumulate their own merits, and directly eat the way of Supreme Bodhi. Then the demon will naturally be able to be beside Tathagata. If the great Bodhisattvas can practice in this way, they will naturally succeed. Tathagata land.